And welcome into the Friday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Hope everybody's off to a wonderful start of their day today. Boy, do we have a busy show today. We got a pretty large hockey game in our city last night that we'll get to coming up here in just a few minutes. Vanderbilt in action yesterday in the NCAA tournament. We got the Rex rant coming up later this hour. We got Vanderbilt women's coach Shay Ralph at 7 o'clock. We got Charles Robinson at 7:30. We got Teron Davenport at 8. And we got weekend winners at 8:30. So, Joe, we could probably have about an 8-hour show today. We do have a 3-hour show, and there's a lot going on. How are you?
Well, I'm glad it's 3 hours and we have all that stuff because I have 3 brain cells left. It took me that long to come up with that line. I'm tired, man. I'm old. Too old for this crap.
What time did you wrap up last night?
Yeah, I left like as soon as the terrible Houston, Idaho game ended. I had no good games yesterday, so kind of lame.
Not great from your standpoint yesterday, just in terms of the live action that you saw. Although, McNeese.
Vandy wasn't terrible game.
Yeah. McNeese off to a halfway decent start against Vandy, and then Vandy figured it out. And, in the second half, McNeese looked like they were throwing, shots at a dartboard out there. They couldn't hit anything, but, decent start in that game.
Yeah, that one was all right. And I mean, the Nebraska game was cool just because, obviously get their first win, but I mean, I've seen a lot of NCAA sites, where there's basically a pretty strong home court advantage. I've seen it with Michigan State and Detroit multiple times, and Texas in Houston, and Texas in San Antonio. And I was trying to think, some others. I've seen North Carolina and Winston-Salem, but I've never seen anything like. It's like an 18,000 seat arena, and it's basically almost every seat was occupied by a Nebraska fan, and they were loud, man. So that's going to be a challenge as we talk about that at some point. But Vanderbilt is absolutely going to be in a hornet's nest on Saturday.
A lot of Cornhuskers down there. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Yep, glad it's Friday. Feels like I've had a long week here, some late nights, but doing good. Busy yesterday. I mean, my goodness, the games, the hockey, all the stuff going on. But it was good, thanks. Feels nice out there today. Hopefully it's another beautiful day. Nice weekend ahead of us. So happy Friday, folks.
Joe, how warm is it in Oklahoma City? Is today the day where it's going to be like 100 degrees?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely got in the 80s. I mean, again, I was never outside yesterday. I walked like the 20 steps from the hotel to the arena at like 10 whatever a.m. and then walked out of there at whatever the heck time it was. But it was warm yesterday. But today it is going to be 94 tomorrow, high of 95. So
there we go.
Yeah,
get in there. Heat wave coming out there in Oklahoma City. It's gonna be
lots of water.
90 here on Sunday. So a lot of stuff going on.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's gonna be 90.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
A lot of good stuff happening out there. We will get obviously, we got a lot going on in the program as I just laid out. So we will take your thoughts on all of it throughout the show at 615-737-1025. Before we get into Vanderbilt and their win, which we will do here in just a few minutes, and other takeaways from day one, we will start on the Preds and the Kraken. Big win for the Preds last night. They get it done 3-1 against the Seattle Kraken. Philip Forsberg had a goal and 2 assists. He sealed it with the empty netter in the game last night. Ryan O'Reilly picked up a goal on the power play last night. Ryan Ufko scoring his second career goal. So Ufko, O'Reilly, Forsberg, the goal scorers. And Joe, interesting situation. UC Saros was expected to start yesterday. He did not, because he sustained an upper body injury. And I guess, I don't know this, my guess is sometime in the morning skate, because it took the Predators off guard enough where they had to go call up Matt Murray as the backup goalie. And Milwaukee was in Winnipeg, so that's not the easiest travel from Winnipeg to Nashville. So Matt Murray got here on the bench like halfway through the game, maybe more than halfway through the game last night. So for half the game, for all the warm-ups, it was Eustace Onanen is the only goalie out there. But Onanen comes in, plays really well. Saros day to day, so we'll see what his status looks like this weekend as they take on Vegas and they take on the Chicago Blackhawks. But that's a big win last night for the Preds. They tie Seattle in points. I think LA lost in a shootout last night. So technically, they are now the final team in the wild card spot. They're at 72 points. Seattle and Nashville both at 70 after that. But large win for the Predators last night, Joe.
Yeah, and with adversity, I mean, that's to be able to pivot like that is pretty impressive. Your guy Ufko with another goal too. But so do they have the regular person emergency?
They do.
Yeah,
he was ready to go last night.
Who was that?
They call him Bones, and I'm going to be totally honest with you right now. I'm totally spacing on his actual name, but yes, the E-Bug was ready to go last night.
Yeah, Bones. That's cool.
Yeah,
you just call him Bones. But big time win, man. Big time win for them to, and obviously they've got their number here a little bit. So Forsberg, 30-goal season.
Yep.
Again.
That's what he does. I mean, it's I think it's what's the sixth time that he's done that. So good stuff from him last night. And again, like you've got, as we talked about yesterday, you got 5 home games in a 6-game span. You got to take advantage of that. Like it's your last big home stand of the year. I know they got 3 in a row, I think, to end the year at home, but it's your last, long stretch at home here. And you got to find a way to take advantage of it. And, look, Vegas got shut out last night by Utah, so they're not going to be the happiest campers in the world coming into here tomorrow. So you got an afternoon game tomorrow. Look, I thought for a Thursday night, building's pretty darn good. Like it felt like a high stakes game between the Predators and the Kraken. The crowd, responded that way. You've been in there, Joe. Like when big moments happen and there's just a pop with the crowd when they just let it go in there, like Forsberg's empty net, place went nuts after that. Marchessault last night, Matthew Wood took a hit in the corner and Marchessault did not like it. And look, I thought the hit, when you slow it down and look at it, it looked dangerous. I do think, and Eddie Olczyk pointed this out on the Seattle broadcast, it did look like Matthew Wood started to fall a little bit. So I think it made the hit look a little bit worse than it actually was. But there was a hit on Wood. He ended up being all right after that in the corner on a board. But Marchessault lost it. Like he shot in like a bat out of hell.
Gloves
after
off.
Riker Evans, gloves off. He was punching. He was on the ground. There was a pile. He was punching people from the bottom of the pile. And I was like, Jonathan Marchessault is in here punching people? What the heck's going on out there? It was crazy.
Wow, that's kind of fun to see, huh?
You could hear the crowd at the start too.
Oh, they were fired up.
It came through on TV in this one.
Yeah, no, it felt like a high stakes game in there. And Joe, I mean, they ain't had very many of those lately, as you know.
Yeah, no, I mean it's I'll be honest, and again, it's it's not like their record's been stellar since the trade deadline, but I mean, they've still outperformed what I thought was going to happen. Once that went down, just because you figured there'd be a little bit of a demoralizing factor. I think one thing Andrew Burnett said yesterday, and this is a common theme with teams that maybe are like fringe teams that sell, but there are young guys who get in the lineup, right? I mean, that's part of the deal is that there's going to have to be some guys that probably come up from the AHL to fill in the spots, and sometimes just the excitement of them is like a thing that gives your team a boost. And that's what Andrew Burnett said, especially early on after the trading deadline, that maybe helped them. So again, credit to them for just continuing to fight, and literally, I guess, with in Marchessault's case.
Yeah. I think Yossi joked after the game that Marchessault thinks he's strong, but he's really not. So that was funny to see. But an interesting scheduling quirk here. So, you got obviously Vegas coming in. They've got San Jose next Tuesday. And then they have San Jose on April the 4th. And then they have San Jose on April the 13th. So they have not played the Sharks yet at all. They got them 3 times coming up here between now and the end of the season. It's a very weird scheduling thing. But, we mentioned Seattle. That's obviously 2 big wins they've gotten against Seattle over the last 10 days. They got LA a couple of times coming up, and they've got San Jose 3 times. So all these teams that are right there together with them in the standings, they're going to directly play. And they've already handled it twice against Seattle. I mean, if you go out here and you just take care of business against the Kings and the Sharks, you're going to be in the playoffs. Like that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and it's very weird. I mean, it shouldn't happen, but obviously, it's really interesting because just what San Jose has obviously become. I mean, it's a really interesting matchup and just a opportunity to kind of to compare yourself against that team, and you're going to get a lot of Sharks. I mean, when's the last time the Preds and Sharks played and it meant anything? I mean,
probably the
playoff series
series, yeah,
10 years ago. Yeah, Shea Weber's swan song that no one knew was his swan song.
Yeah, that's probably the last time. So very interesting stuff there on that front. But that's a big win for the Preds last night. They got another big game coming up tomorrow against Vegas, and we'll see if they can keep winning. Again, like they didn't, Andrew Burnett, you can kind of see it after the game. They're doing just enough right now to win. Like I don't know that he loved their game last night, but the start was good. They went through kind of different stretches where they looked good. Third period was really good from the Predators last night. So that part of it, something to build on as they move forward here. We will get running on the show. We will get into Vanderbilt and their win in the tournament yesterday, other takeaways from day one of the NCAA tournament. We'll take your thoughts on all that. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant coming up later this hour. We got Shay Ralph and Charles Robinson joining us next hour. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
What an extremely hard-fought game, and that's what you expect in the NCAA tournament. That team was used to winning. They came out right away, and they jumped us from the start. And I just don't think we were ourselves for a majority of the game, especially the start. And I don't know if it was something going on from the hangover. I know our guys prepped well. They were excited to play. And we just didn't have the normal burst we did. But what I really like is I don't think we had our best game, but the guys just figured out a way. And they toughed it out. And so give McNeese credit. I think their style is really good. And I said this yesterday, a really good roster, good coach. And they tested everything about us, which is what you expect to be here. And so we're happy to go on to the round of 32.
That's Mark Byington yesterday. Vanderbilt wins 78-68 against McNeese. They're down early in the game. They battled back in the first half. It was 38-35 after one half. Vanderbilt ends up winning by 10. Tyler Tanner with 26, 7, and 5 yesterday. So 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And they take down McNeese to advance to the round of 32, where they'll take on Nebraska. We will get into that matchup a little bit later in the show. Weekend winners. By the way, Joe, you'll be interesting to know. Vanderbilt a 2.5-point favorite in the matchup with Nebraska. So we will get into that a little bit later in the program. But, Joe, you were there live and in person. So I turn this thing to you. What did you make of Vanderbilt's 78-68 win against McNeese yesterday in the 5-12 matchup?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't even think I like Tyler Tanner in particular for a lot of the game. I didn't think he was playing that well. He was kind of dribbling into traffic a little bit. They're tricky. McNeese is tricky with their pressure, and they kind of scramble a little bit. They're a little bit unpredictable on defense. And then on offense, really like they it's a lot of just kind of picking out a matchup and everybody clear out. It's kind of crazy to see a team that uses so few ball screens, compared to basically like just about everybody else. But it's a lot of like clear outs and just drive. So, I mean, they were, I agree with Mark Byington. Like, I thought Vandy was kind of punched in the mouth early, and you're like, oh, boy, here we go. I've seen this movie before. And like I said, Tanner just thought he was a little bit out of sorts, with some decisions. But then, they had some big shots in there. I think Nickel had, I thought a couple really big shots, like late in the first half when they kind of came back, and he ends up, going 3 for 9, but 3 for 8 from 3. Those are 3 big threes. Wasn't a great, certainly a great shooting day for Duke Miles, 1 for 5. Then the second half, it's kind of like Tanner just sort of, whenever they needed a bucket, it's just either he's, he hit a couple deep threes. He goes 3 for 8 from 3, but also just kind of getting into the rim. You give him a little bit of space, and boom, he's by you. I mean, 26, 7, and 5. That's just a big time NCAA tournament outcome. And also, I thought, Devin McLaughlin. They found some good stuff to get him isolated inside, and it's a guy who he's not the tallest for his position, but he is a wide body, and those guys kind of couldn't really deal with him. So it ends up being. Any win in this tournament's a good win, but it was a good win. And the thing is, the building, in the first half, it's the Nebraska fans are there. We talked about it before. It's like the Nebraska fans are there. They're all excited for their team. And of course they're like, yeah, we'll take on, we'll rather see McNeese on Saturday than Vanderbilt. So, the crowd in the first half, you could see if it was a different kind of game in the second half, or it was like really close, because Vanderbilt got a little bit of separation and kind of kept him at arm's length. But if it was like, like a nip and tuck game, then I think the building really would have been a lot more difficult for Vanderbilt. It sure will be Saturday, though.
It will be. And I thought it was interesting. McNeese gets out to the hot start in the game. In the second half, McNeese had 2 or 3 possessions, Joe, where they probably got 3 offensive rebounds each on those possessions and didn't do anything with it. They ended up with 16 offensive rebounds total in the game. And we've talked about that with Vanderbilt, how they're susceptible to that. McNeese got their chances, I thought, in the second half with some of the offensive rebounds they got, and then they just missed some absolute bunnies or wide open threes in the aftermath of it. And when they did that, Vanderbilt took advantage of it on the other end, and that was the difference in the game, I thought.
Yeah, no, yeah, 16 offensive rebounds, 6 second chance points. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were with Florida, but kind of the same thing. Like Florida had all these possessions, 3-4 rebounds, but a lot of times they still didn't end up scoring. So that was a big deal. And Vanderbilt ends up with 34 points in the paint. So and overall, I mean, you shoot 51% in a game. I mean, that's gonna help you a lot. I thought my guy Chandler Bing, was 22 minutes. But just he's kind of like Mark Byington's like, oh, that guy's starting to pop off. Okay, Chandler, go over there. That guy's starting to pop. Okay, Chandler, go over there. They had the guy we talked about, Larry Johnson, the freshman. I mean, he's a talent, man. He had 15, but he was 4 for 17. I did get to the line 6 times, made them all, but 1 for 6 from 3. So that was the thing. I try to keep him out of the lane, make him shoot, jump shots, and you're a lot better off.
We did have to listen to Chris Webber on the color commentator part of it yesterday. Not very good. That's a good grief. Can we get somebody other than Chris Webber in there?
You know who else was really boring on it? Wally. Man,
Yeah.
I can't remember which early game, but he was boring.
Webber wasn't doing well, huh?
Well, he's not my cup of tea. They can't all be Barkley, Joe. Can't all be Barkley.
We need
Can't be
Barkley.
Reggie Miller like crying in the middle of the game. They can't all be that.
Oh man, I want Barkley and Vitale for every game. I don't care what people say. I'm 100% here for it.
Yeah, I agree.
The texter saying I saw any team that once again had trouble rebounding. It's basketball, not volleyball. Well, that's
It's
like
gonna be what they are, right?
Yeah, like they're just not. They're just not big. I mean, Washington and Washington. I mean, he only played 15 minutes. It's kind of, and of course he's he's like their biggest guy, but against that team, he just didn't work that well defensively, and so they really you had to go small against this team, and I don't think that they were that surprised by that. But that's even going to make it even tougher. I mean, Okereke gets 9 rebounds, McLaughlin gets 8. Like we said, Tanner gets 7, man. So, but yeah, that's just not. I mean, that's just one of their weaknesses, and it's going to be. And if you don't let them have the second chance points off, and you keep it tight after a rebound, like they have been able to do, then you could be okay. And thank you, Liam, for thanking me for asking some questions. No, there were other people in the room, but like no one's asking Mark Binding questions. I'm like, okay,
I got another one.
I'm sure. I don't know. No one seemed very interested.
People get pretty intimidated when the nation's leading bracketologist is sitting next to them. They just let you kind of do all the work at that point.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. They were probably there were probably a few people who wanted to ask for my autograph.
Probably so.
After seeing the job I did on my bracket. So I get it. You're kind of almost stunned into silence with that. I was actually sitting next to Candace Lee at the press conference, by the way. So she's all over the place with them, and then she's going to be back in town for the women's game Saturday.
There you go. Looking good, doing that stuff. Rexrode, making friends, doing capital J journalism. A lot of stuff going on out there. All right, so we know the crowd's going to be against them. What do you make of the matchup itself for Vanderbilt against Nebraska?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Nebraska is. I mean, if anybody watched that game yesterday, Price Sanford is just a weapon. I mean, he's 6'7". The coach for Troy is comparing him. I mean, he's like I was watching in slow-mo. He gets a shot off in 0.3 of a second. It's like under 1's really good. 0.5 is elite. 0.3 is like Steph Curry. And I was like, wow, I guess I hadn't really. I mean, we're throwing out Steph Curry comparisons, but I mean, he flipped the game. And if you let him get looks, man, it's curtains. They have other shooters. They rebound extremely well. So I mean, that's definitely one part of this game that's going to be a challenge. And it's funny because it's like they keep running into these teams that can rebound. I mean, they don't have so they're really an elite defensive rebounding team by the numbers. They don't have great offensive rebound percentage, but yesterday, that's where they feasted. You're talking about right now they're 7th in defensive efficiency. They're great. They have the no middle defense, which is essentially, they are going to guard the ball screens and guard drivers and everything to push you to the outside on both sides of the floor. So it's really interesting. And then they get into some trapping and stuff on the sides, but they're going to do everything to push you out of the middle. It's been very effective. They're a tough defensive team. They're not all that impressive, like individually. I mean, like Tyler Tanner, against Sam Hoiberg. I mean, you watch Sam Hoiberg and you're like, oh, that's nice. His little coach's son out there running around. He's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
He's a pretty solid player. They have a lot of guys who can shoot. The big rink mask. I mean, you cannot. Again, he's their 5 or their 4 depending on the lineup, but you have to be on him because I've seen him hit 6-7 threes in a game on those pick and pops. So it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's an evenly matched game. And again, the edge. It's Vanderbilt's 2.5-point favorite. I mean, this is definitely one of those games where like the point spread should take into account the home court, though. So I don't know if it is. I guess I think Vanderbilt's about 5.5 points better. I don't know how that works in basketball. We always talk about 3 points in football, home field advantage, but I mean it's going to be a huge advantage, obviously, for Nebraska.
Let's quickly head to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Matt in Fairview to the program. Matt, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning. First-time caller, long-time texter here.
There we go.
So watching Miami, Ohio on Thursday, they have 6 or 7 guys who can shoot multiple threes from anywhere on the floor. Tennessee hasn't been able to shoot the ball well at all season. Joe, if you could talk on the defensive efforts that are going to be required from Tennessee today, go from there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I know we'll get into this later too, but no, I mean, look, that's the thing with Miami. They all shoot. They all shoot, and they all shoot freely and from all over the place. So to me, like Tennessee, you win this game. I mean, you have to be sound defensively, and you have to be as tough as possible. You dominate the boards, which is what Tennessee does, and then you take it to them. Really, to me, on the interior. I mean, pick and roll lobs to Akpara. Again, I'm going to keep talking about JP Estrella as a guy, driving the basketball. They're a bad defensive team.
This should be a big Nate Ament game too. I don't know. Like, I understand, like they got a lot of shooters. I don't know who they have that's going to stop Nate Ament on Tennessee.
Exactly, and he's had some time to rest up a little more now. So, like to me, you may be getting into a little bit of a high pace, high scoring game more than you like, but just outscore them because Tennessee certainly is capable of doing that.
More your thoughts on Vanderbilt's win from yesterday, Tennessee in action today, and a pretty wild day yesterday. At least for a moment, I thought we were going to see a massive upset. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Vanderbilt baseball taking on Mississippi State today. First pitch at 7 o'clock. Coverage of all the action on 102.5 The Game, presented by Gary Force Acura. Joe, interesting day yesterday and the opening day of the NCAA tournament. We saw High Point take down Wisconsin, so a significant upset there in the 5-12. And by the way, it's not been a good run for Wisconsin being a 5 seed. I think that's the 4th one in a row they've lost in the 5-12 matchup, which is kind of incredible. But Matt LaFleur comes in, gives you a post-game locker room speech a month ago, and all of a sudden your season goes to hell and you lose the first round. Who would have thought?
I knew that, I should have known that, like, whenever the Wisconsin season ended, you would go back to Matt LaFleur. They could have lost, like, on a half-court shot in the national title game, and you still would have blamed LaFleur for it. So,
worst post-game speech I've ever seen.
It was bad. It was bad.
Freaking awful. Everything that dude touches turns immediately to trash.
Yeah, no, look, yesterday we had some blowouts. There's always blowouts, like you always forget about the blowouts. We had a lot of blowouts, Illinois, Michigan State. I saw, Houston here, but I mean, yesterday, definitely, first of all, I stayed all the way to the end with Gonzaga, Kennesaw State. It ends up a 9-point game, but it was closer than that. Kennesaw State had a real chance to pull out the 14-3. Like you said, High Points, you have a 12 there. You have obviously the VCU. That's one of the biggest comeback wins in NCAA tournament history, 19-point deficit. Yep. North Carolina doesn't score a point in the last 7.5 minutes, or it doesn't have a field goal in the last 7.5 minutes, including overtime, which is just mind-boggling. So. And then on the mid-major front, and then St. Louis just absolutely crushes Georgia. That's like the St. Louis I thought, we had this year. I thought they were going to be a 6 or something in this tournament, but Josh Church and that team, Cream, Robbie Avila. I like Cream Abdul-Jabbar. Larry Blurred is another very good nickname for him and his goggles, but
both good.
So first of all, so there's 3 mid-majors right there: St. Louis, VCU, both of them in the Atlantic 10, and then of course High Point getting wins. That's frankly that's encouraging to me. It's like there's still good teams, mid-majors, that can do damage in this tournament. But obviously, we almost had. Well, first of all, even Howard, Michigan was actually close for a long time, but we almost had one of the all-timers. And in fact, it would have been the biggest upset ever if Siena would have won by point spread. The biggest as of now was Fairleigh Dickinson over Purdue, which I think was 23.5. This was 27.5. Duke favored over Siena. And that absolutely ends up 71-65. It's too bad that game, there were a couple missed opportunities there late for Jim Diamond's Siena.
Yep.
Squad.
He was devastated yesterday.
What an amazing attempt. And they, up double digits at halftime. That's never happened to a 1 seed. 2 have lost, but no one's ever been down double digits at halftime. And they were right there until the end. That would have shaken this tournament to the core. Yeah,
for sure. And like you said, it's 43-32 at halftime. And you're like, wow, not only are they winning, they're winning by double digits. So that just doesn't happen in a matchup like that. Now, I will say, once Duke pulled it to about 4, I was like, well, they're just going to come back and win. And they ultimately did. So that was unfortunate, but really good stuff from Siena. Good showing from them yesterday. Does that throw up a giant red flag to you about Duke, where I think they had players after the game just being like, yeah, we thought it was going to be easy, and it turns out it wasn't?
Yeah. In fact, I think it was even Malik Brown, I think they did either the in-game or halftime interview, and he's like, we thought it was gonna be a cakewalk. Hey, I appreciate the honesty. I have no doubt that's exactly part of this. That's a lot of these upsets, especially when you get a 1 or a 2 that gets in trouble. That has to be some part of it. But also Duke, they are missing 2 of their best players. And it's probably one of these things. I didn't see what Shire said about after the game, but Patrick Ngongba probably, if they were playing a bigger team it probably plays, right? And they're like, yeah, like we can probably be okay with this game. I mean, how brutal would it have been, for them to lose that, just being cautious with him. But they miss him, and they're not going to get Caleb Foster back until the Final Four. I will say that this is part of why I don't think they're nearly as good without those guys, and they're not going to be as good without Foster. And that's part of why I didn't pick them to my Final Four. But we'll see. Sometimes you have a game like this and you survive it, and that sort of gives you a little more juice or resolve moving forward too. I mean, they're still obviously a national title contender.
So you mentioned VCU. They take down North Carolina. Texas beat BYU, so another double-digit seed there. But that continues the trend, Joe. The first four getting a win in the next round.
Yes, first four continues to. You can count on at least one of them. So that's one of those trends, just like the Wisconsin trend, that you just mentioned. There's some things that kind of become a little bit consistent. And another trend early, now I just mentioned Georgia getting absolutely thumped, but yesterday was a great day for the SEC. I think 5-0 before the Georgia thumping. I mean, I covered Texas A&M here. I mean, Buckyball, man, you got to be impressed. Year one, and they just handled St. Mary's. I'm just watching St. Mary's, and I'm like, dude, like, how is there a team this unathletic that's like a 7 seed in this tournament? I mean, it's just they had 2 7-2 guys, but like they can barely get down the floor, and it's just. But that's a huge win for them. Texas, that's a big deal. Again, Vanderbilt wins, and I think they all won by double digits. Arkansas handled Hawaii, no problem. So, the SEC, not the year that they had last year, of course. I mean, I don't think we're going to see that again. A team have, that kind of success, but pretty good start, man, in this tournament for the SEC. And obviously Texas, it's a team that, really was close to the cut line here, but it's a talented team, and there's a lot of good coaches in the SEC, and some of that kind of comes to the forefront in March, and both of those Texas teams, pretty impressive.
Let's head to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Patrick to the program. Patrick, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are y'all? Big fan.
Good, brother.
Good.
Man, thank God for McLaughlin for saving our butts in the first half. I mean, he was just unstoppable. It's amazing to see him get his moment. And let's start a GoFundMe for Tyler Tanner so we can bring him back for another year. I do not want to lose him. And Chandler Bing, man, I'm really excited about him coming up and having his moments. And, man, props to McNeese State. I mean, their defense is incredible. They played great. And the heart that coach showed when his player went down in the second half was just, there aren't words for that. That makes you want to play harder. So I'm just really hyped about it, but Nebraska scares me because they beat doors off their opponents. So what do y'all think about Nebraska? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. Going to be a really interesting game against Nebraska. Joe just went through the matchup a few minutes ago, but you also got, basically an arena full of Nebraska fans to deal with too. So we'll see how Vanderbilt and Mark Byington respond to that. We'll continue to get into that throughout the show. We got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. We got Shay Ralph coming up at 7 o'clock, Charles Robinson at 7:30, TD at 8 o'clock. Very busy show for you this morning. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
You want to make me mad, I'll scream at you.
Been with the team since 96, have my own website.
And then throughout the day, I continued to graze like a buffalo.
Maybe I'll go pet him.
The horse is, nice looking. Think this is mating season.
Hey, fart you, loser.
The time is now for the Rex Rant
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
on Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You might want to sing it note for
It is time for the Rex
don't
Rant
worry.
here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning on the program. Joseph, the floor is yours.
Thank you. That was very nice. I knew that talking about good-looking horses was going to quickly come back to bite me. So
Can't wait till we get into Connecticut and the sperm whale.
Oh, good Lord. Forgot about that one. Yeah, so yesterday, great first day of March Madness, but I think a couple of the best things that happened involved student journalists. One of which was, for anybody who didn't see it, VCU, Phil Martelli Jr., who's a great coach for VCU, and he had a really cool at his press conference. Like one of the student journalists started asking him a question. He's like, "Hold on, I got to shout you out." And he had this long, like these guys drove here and they followed us here, and then they did miss a Valentine's Day because young love, and it was a funny, but it was cool to see little love for the student journalists. And then the High Point Wisconsin game, and this has gotten heavily shared. But the student radio kids for High Point, do we have some of that, Ian?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, let's listen. These are two, High Point students doing radio on press row as this incredible High Point Wisconsin game, which is probably one of the games of the day. So you're certainly the upset of the day. Here's a taste of that.
To Anderson. Driving. Step back. In circles now. Johnson catch and shoot.
That's what they needed. Time out. Portland. Do you believe it? Here comes Johnson. The layup. It's gone. Johnston. Transition.
Takes it inbounds. 9 seconds. Boyd wants it inside. Drive. 6 seconds. What? That Boyd. They launched down court.
Anderson gets it. Throw on the glass slipper. It's a Cinderella story in Portland, Oregon. For the first time in program history, High Point breaks through. We will see you in the round of 32. Oh, what a feeling.
I mean, that's pretty
Gus
good.
Johnson? Good grief.
And so that was cool. And actually, it's even better if you see the video. Like really, it's all the play-by-play kid, but like the color commentator, you heard him for 1 second, and they're like whatever. But like he basically just sitting there like mind blown. Put his hand. So that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is all a precursor to my rant.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. I got to call out the McNeese students, newspaper kids, man. I'm sorry, but they have to be put on blast. I've never seen anything like this. Like, that is a radio announcing team. And really, if you go through local, not just students, radio announcing teams along press row, like you will see, something happen and you'll see them pump their fists and all it's whatever. That's fine. The McNeese Vanderbilt game, the kids, I think it was the McNeese student paper. I believe that's right. I mean, I guess it could have been, well, I mean, it would have been radio. They would have been broadcasting. I think it's the student paper. They sat next to me for the Vanderbilt game. Or like just one seat removed. And every time McNeese hit a basket, they clapped. And I'm like, looking at them like, guys, you're on press row. They literally like were cheering. Like they were like, and then McNeese in the first half's having a run, and they're like, yes, like, guys, it's press row. Then the McNeese fans are behind us, and they start doing the defense. They start doing the chant and doing this on press row. Dude, what? So I'm sitting there like, I almost just yelled at them, and I just ignore it. And then I was like, do I go tell on them? Like, I mean, it's a little different than like in a press box, because there's always no cheering in a press box. In a press box, if you even make like too much noise, sometimes someone, like after a big play, someone sometimes someone in charge of the press box will be like, just a reminder, no cheering in the press. But this is an open arena. It's press row. You're right by the right up on the court. So it's not as easy to detect, but I'm sitting there. I keep looking. I'm like, guys, just please stop. What are we doing here? Like, they're just actively screaming for their team on press row. You can't do that. Like, I'm sorry. I gotta, Then press conferences happen, and you see this a lot. Like AD, boosters, family, whatever, come into pressers, and but we've already talked about some of the questions like, young man, keep your head up, whatever. But so you'll get like someone like cheering. Okay, so the McNeese coach, Bill Armstrong, he gets done talking, and like I'm pretty sure it's the AD stands up and like claps. Yeah, okay, whatever. These kids stand up and give him a standing ovation. Like, no, stop it.
This is the most Koharski thing you've ever done, and I love it.
Yeah, and again,
I probably should have gone and told on this guy.
but there is the difference, right? It's like,
I'm totally with you. It's just hilarious.
It's just like, I mean, someone's got to tell him. I probably should have been the cranky old man and said, guys, please stop. But I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on the game. And
you're too good a guy.
Well, I knew that I could just come here and vent about it. So I'm like, well, I got a rant for tomorrow at least. I know I can vent about this and feel a little better.
Ripping the youth of McNeese on the program today.
I mean, the good news is, like, the second half, like, there just wasn't that much for them to cheer about. So they mostly were quiet. They were mostly quiet. So I was able to concentrate a little bit better.
Hey, I kind of respect it. They're just all out on press row. I hadn't seen that very often before.
I mean, especially the defense.
That is objectively hilarious. Oh my goodness. That's probably happened in a SEC football press conference from time to time somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean,
some random site that covers Arkansas. I bet that's happened.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, Matt Jones, he might show up at a Kentucky game all dressed up with the big foam fingers and everything, but he still doesn't do the defense cheer on press row.
It's been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning. We'll take your reaction to Rexrode calling out the youth of McNeese on the text line at 615-737-1025. Shay Ralph coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. And we got Vanderbilt women's basketball in action this weekend in our city. The NCAA tournament coming to town. Vanderbilt hosting High Point in the first round. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in Vanderbilt women's basketball coach Shay Ralph to the program. Shay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing really well. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. Well, first off, as we're turning the page to the tournament here, let me just say congratulations on just an outstanding season. It's been so much fun to watch you guys play. It's been awesome to see what you've been able to do with this program, not only this year, but as you've built this thing up here. So I guess before we get into the matchup, how do you put into scope what your team was able to accomplish in the regular season this year and just the significance of that?
Well, thank you. We are really proud of the work that we've done. And I think for us, it's just all part of the journey and the vision that we had, especially myself and our staff when we first got here, but the players that are playing, not just this year, but that have been with us, throughout the course of the last 5 years have laid the foundation for the success that you guys are seeing right now. And it's so much fun. It's exciting. We're enjoying each other. I have a great group. Our culture is super strong. So as we continue to climb, and go where this program I know this program can go, we're making sure that we also enjoy all those small moments and celebrate the victories along the way.
So, meanwhile, just having games here, it's been a long time, of course, for this program. What does that mean? Along the way, there's a lot of markers of success along the way, but obviously you want to be, every March, top programs want to be, hosting these games and things like that. How big of a deal is that to get that done here? And what do you anticipate in terms of atmosphere, Shay?
Yeah, it's a huge deal. I'm not wanting to talk a lot, especially with our team, about tangible goals. Obviously, we want to continue to take a step forward every year. But we really wanted to host the NCAA tournament this year. We felt like we were in a great position to be able to do that. I loved our schedule, but we knew that we were going to have to take care of business. The fact that we're able to do this here in Nashville is such an advantage for us because we're playing on our home court. We're not having to travel. We have a 1-game season right now, but the NCAA tournament's only 6 games. So we have, if we take care of business tomorrow, we have 2 games to get to the Sweet 16 on our home court in front of our fans and community. It is such a meaningful time for us, such a meaningful time for our program. And I hope that everyone comes out and supports these young women because they are playing for you.
Well, no doubt. And like you said, I mean, it's a heck of an opportunity you guys have at home here. So as you've watched this team grow throughout the season, Shay, and you were with us earlier in the year and you talked about, some of the processes that you guys have gone through to get to that point. Now that you've gotten to the end of the regular season and tournament time has come around, where do you think you've seen the biggest area of growth from the start of the season to the end of the regular season?
Oh yeah, I think certainly resilience. I think there were lots of games. Early on when we were in the Virgin Islands for the Thanksgiving tournament, we fell behind by 16 to BYU. I think they made like 8 threes in the first quarter, it was really telling the resilience that our team had, the way we fought back in that game, and it has continued to be that way consistently throughout the course of the season. We fight hard. We're relentless. We're confident. We play together. So those things, I think, have only become stronger this year. But I think because we're so good at all of those things, it's defined our season. Outside of the X's and O's, obviously basketball is a game of strategy and runs and all the things. But there has to be a certain level of chemistry that you have. There has to be a certain way that your group operates together, the way that they fight together, the way that they play together. That really, really, really matters. And this team has that. And we've been able to see it throughout the course of the year.
So obviously, Shay, Michaela Blakes, to me, I don't know that there's a better player in the country. I would think that
there's not.
Yeah,
there's not.
I know how you feel about it. Yeah, absolutely. And if she doesn't not winning all the National Player of the Year awards this year. I mean, I think that's something that, certainly can be, in her future. But Aubrey Galvin as a freshman and the way that they play off each other, when you recruited Aubrey, do you think of it in those terms? Like, obviously you want players who fit together and things like that, and great players are going to, be able to figure things out and play well with other great players. But it just seems like their chemistry is really good. It doesn't look like two players who are in their first year playing with each other. Like, did you anticipate that? And just what about those two and how they play off each other on the floor?
You always feel like as a coach and as a staff, right? We try to put together this puzzle where our players really fit together well. They complement each other really well. That's mostly their mindset and their intangible qualities, and partly their skill set and their ability to play basketball. And what I love about Michaela and Aubrey is that they're such strong guards. They are really, really good basketball players, but they complement each other in their strengths, and they fill each other's gaps in the areas of their game where they need to get better. And when we recruited Aubrey, we felt like, along with Maddie Green, who unfortunately had an injury this year, we would be able to play Michaela off the ball a little bit more. And I thought she could be more dangerous in terms of a scorer, a slasher. It would give her an ability to, just not have to have the ball in her hands all the time. And that's exactly how it played out. But kudos to Aubrey, because honestly, she's played with so much confidence. It's hard to believe she's a freshman, isn't it? It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. But Michaela is the best player in the country. And Aubrey just kind of complements her in a way that highlights her game. But without Aubrey Galvin, we wouldn't be where we are.
So, Shay, as I mentioned, High Point coming up tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Memorial Gym. As you've studied them, what kind of stands out to you about your first-round matchup here?
Well, every single team we play is a championship caliber team. They've won a ton of games. They did a great job in their conference. They won their conference championship. They play a style that's moving the ball a lot, lots of screening, 5 out. They can score it. They defend well. They play well together, very well coached. We're not going to see a team for the rest of our season that isn't. So for me, I'm really focused on making sure our team understands this is a great team and we have to play our best basketball right now.
So, I saw that Gino or Emma had a comment about the bracket. I was a little surprised that you guys were put with them. I mean, you were right there for a 1 seed. I know as a coach, you have like you said, a 1-game season. But did you think that was, I guess, were you treated unfairly by the committee?
Listen, nothing surprises me anymore. And I don't, I learned a long time ago that the things that people vote on, the way that people select things, I don't worry about that. It's one of the things I talked to Michaela about with all the awards this year. Those are things that people pick and vote on, and everyone has their reasons. And half the time we're not going to understand it. All I care about, and I mean this, is like the path that's laid out in front of us. Whoever comes in our path, we got to take care of business. I'm just wasting my time worrying about anything else.
So, Shay, you've talked about the process of building this program. I'm just interested, when you have a year like you all had this year, how have you seen the Vanderbilt fan base, the Vanderbilt community, the Nashville community kind of rally around this team, culminating in the regular season you guys had this year?
It's really cool because we have really talked about, hey, we want to be a team. We want to put a product out on the court that really resonates with this community, that they feel like they want to come watch us, that they're going to have a great in-game experience. They're going to love watching us play basketball, but they're also going to feel like they know us, that we get out in the community and after games we engage with them, and they feel like that we're part of their family. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of games, especially towards the end of the regular season, Oklahoma, Texas, Kentucky at home for senior day. Those games, I'm not sure we would have done as well as we did without the support of our fans. And to walk out right before the game and see, 8,000 people, 9,000 people in the stands, it's an incredible feeling. Our players love playing in that environment. It gives us a very strong home court advantage, but it also lets us know that we're doing something right. And we want to continue to pour into our community so that they can continue to show up for us as well.
And then, of course, there's the Vanderbilt overall momentum right now. Shay. You know, I'm in Oklahoma City right now, so Candace was there yesterday. I know she's going to be back for your game. You've got football going on. Yeah, she's all over the place, but football, you know, yeah, baseball. I mean, how much are you guys feeding off each other right now? And you know, with the different teams and the different sports that are succeeding, and sort of even, you know, almost like drafting off each other, like you know, like NASCAR or something in terms of just the overall momentum.
Man, let me tell you, there's no better time to be at Vanderbilt. And I mean, honestly, it's been that way since I've been here. We have an incredible leader in Candace Story Lee, and her partnership with our chancellor has just elevated our athletic department in so many ways. And I know people love to talk about resources, but I'm not just talking about money and facilities. I'm talking about true leadership and an investment in people, and a holistic vision that all of us head coaches, all of our programs really align with. We all really operate within the same standards and values. And we have a group chat and we text each other and we see each other. I mean, it is just such a supportive environment. And so it's not a surprise at all to me. And it's only going to continue to get better, but it's a direct reflection of our leadership and the way that they have developed us and empowered us to make sure that we can bring in the student athletes, that will be the best student athletes in the world and allow us to not only, you know, operate at a certain level academically, but win championships on the athletic field as well.
Well, Shay, like I said, it's been awesome to watch you all play to this point. Looking forward to the tournament getting started tomorrow. Again, 6 o'clock tomorrow night at Memorial Gym, Vanderbilt taking on High Point. But Shay, thanks so much for taking time to be with us. Good luck coming up tomorrow, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great morning. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Shay Ralph, Vanderbilt women's basketball coach, our guest. They're taking on High Point tomorrow at Memorial Gym. Get your tickets, get in the building. Should be an awesome couple of days as Vanderbilt hosts at home coming up over the weekend and into next week against hopefully into next week. I don't want to get ahead of myself, Joe.
Yeah, well, you got Illinois and oh my gosh, I have Illinois and Colorado. I almost said Colorado State. That's the other game.
I'm just trying.
Game.
I'm trying not to, you know, Shay, I don't think would appreciate me just like looking ahead to next week.
Yeah, don't jinx anybody.
And getting High Point out of the way. So I'm
not
going to do that.
Worry
about Saturday first.
Will those student radio kids be back? Are they going shuttling back and forth? Are they going to be in Memorial tomorrow night? You know,
that's a good
question.
I don't know. If so, you'll hear them.
Yeah, that's right.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your reaction to what Shay Ralph had to say. We'll get into Tennessee's matchup against Miami of Ohio and other big games today coming up in the NCAA tournament. Charles Robinson will be with us at 7:30. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Come play hooky with 102.5 The Game today at Boom Bars in East Nashville from noon to 6. Watch the basketball games with us, enjoy great food, handcrafted beverages, and you can win prizes as well. NCAA tournament coverage on 102.5 The Game presented by Toyota, Thompson Machinery, and Pizzona MD. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Joe, Tennessee, a 11.5-point favorite today against Miami of Ohio. We have gone through some of the matchup, but what do you make of Tennessee's challenge in front of them today, taking on a Miami of Ohio team that has lost one game all season long?
Yeah, it's a fascinating game. And along with yesterday, some of what the mid-majors did and the lower seeds did. Obviously, I think Miami's win is just a big deal. It's a big deal for the mid-majors. It's a big deal for the sport. Like, you know, we just I don't think anybody other than, you know, individual fan bases or conference commissioners, you know, of the Power 5 leagues want this to become just a bunch of like Georgia's playing Auburn's, but, you know, whatever, like Georgia's playing Indiana's, Auburn's playing Oklahoma State's, you know? So, like, it's big picture. It's really cool that Miami won that game, and they won it impressively. And there is the danger for Tennessee of that it just seems to not really negatively affect a lot of these teams after playing Dayton and then get on a plane and play 2 days later. I mean, some of them obviously lose, but at least one of them wins basically every year. Now, that has already happened.
There you go, Texas. Good call, Robby.
That was a good call.
I mean, as we know, if you're looking for college basketball expertise, this is where you look. Now, we're not going to forget the fact I said
right?
McNeese was going to win, but my God.
I mean, McNeese was in there, though. I mean, you know, they gave it a run. I think with I think Miami's going to hit shots. You know, obviously Tennessee plays great defense. You're gonna need to be as it's just a different kind of deal if you watch them play. Like you know, Suter's a guy who drives it, and he's a really good individual player, and they just have a bunch of guys who are so dangerous if you give them a little bit of space. So they stretch your defense out a lot. I do wonder if this is a game where the Tennessee has to go small, like Estrella at the 5 and not a lot of Okpara in this game. I could be wrong. I mean, they play with a 5, but I feel like you might need to just be a little bit more perimeter oriented to be able to chase them around all day. So that's obviously that gets Tennessee out of its comfort zone a little bit. But I think that's probably what we'll see. Again, to me, this game, you make it as hard as possible on them. You dominate the glass, which is what Tennessee has done all year. And then you have so many advantages when you have the ball, you know. And so if you are going small, you know, with Estrella, I mean, give him the ball. You said it earlier, Nate Aman. I mean, the guy is, you know, should be able to get wherever he wants and get what he wants today. Some of the reality of Tennessee is that, like Gillespie, if he has one of those 1 for 11 days, they can be in a lot of trouble because they just don't have enough offense. And so it's obviously important that he takes good shots, makes shots, you know, runs the team. But I mean, Amen is a guy who, like, they don't have anybody who can guard him. But really, I don't know that many teams out there have, you know, like Chandler Bing made it tough on him. Still, he had makeable shots that he got against Chandler Bing, but they were just contested mid-ranges, and he didn't hit any of them in the last game. But you'd like to see him even be a little more aggressive, going to the basket, getting to the foul line, and he should have a 30-point game today. And that's, to me, the Vols' path to winning is just having a dominant offensive showing against a team that isn't good defensively.
Other two games I'm most interested to see today, TSU, Iowa State. Pulling for TSU to hang in there and make that a game in St. Louis. And then we'll see if we've hyped up Hofstra versus Alabama way too much today. Very interested to see that, Joe. What stands out to you on the schedule today?
Yeah, too much picking of Hofstra. We know that's for sure. So we'll see.
Lots of picking of Akron, too.
Yeah, well, I've seen that.
I did that, too. The thing is, like, I really like Akron as a team. Like
Your boy CJ Moore, right? From was on with DVD. He seemed to really like Akron too.
Yeah, I mean they're really good. And Texas Tech, JT Top, and I think you're starting to see more and more of that matter to them not having him. Christian Anderson's a great player at point guard, but like it's a huge loss. It has changed their team for the worse. So yeah, but TSU, I mean, I'm with you. That's just I'm not, wouldn't pick it, didn't pick it. Okay. But the way they play, and Iowa State can get stodgy, if they're not hitting from outside, man, I think that game could be a lot more interesting than probably a lot of people around the country think. So I'm fascinated by that game. I think some other good ones. I mean, watch out, Cal Baptist against Kansas. You just don't know what you're going to get with Kansas. Even 15th, look, Furman, UConn, okay? Furman's a good team. And UConn has just been also kind of up and down. I mean, they probably end up winning handily, but that one could be interesting for a while. I think Northern Iowa St. John's is another 12-5. Again, that should be 12 Belmont against St. John's, But Northern Iowa, very old team that kind of had an up and down regular season, and they're dangerous too. And St. John's, I picked them to get to the title game, but you know what? They can go into deep shooting droughts and be in a game against a team like that.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will join us coming up next. We will get into all things NFL with him. Looking forward to that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports to the program. Charles, good morning. How are you?
How you doing, gents?
Doing awesome. Rexrode, Rexrode, a little tired this morning, but he's out in Oklahoma City, which is just a fine town, covering the NCAA tournament.
Hey, I'm all for it. I love this time of year. I know Joe loves this time of year. I've already spent half of yesterday screaming at my TV as I watch Michigan State. So looking forward to this. Dawn's.
Why were you screaming? They won by 30.
Listen, man, there was a little mini run in that second half that drove me crazy. I'm like, just put them away, be done with it, move on. On top of that, I thought the Blue Devils, I was like, man, Duke's on the ropes. I really thought that was going to happen. And then, of course, it didn't. The Duke came back, but they look vulnerable, which Don's super happy about because Houston's in that bracket. So
hey, I pick Houston to win the Natty.
Man, I it's funny, people, it's a very popular pick. And we've watched Houston all season long. I mean, if they're freshmen, if Senek and Fleming can really pull it together, and it feels like they're playing in a groove right now, but they're just, it's so hot and cold with them sometimes, particularly when they're shooting threes. And I love the way they play defense. I'll tell you what, Kelvin Sampson I had an appreciation for him, like Joe, when we were in, Michigan State and, Izzo's talked about this guy for decades, but good Lord, I'm telling you, living here and kind of seeing how he operates every single year, that dude is a hell of a coach, man.
He's very good.
He's no doubt about good. He just the way he coaches guys, and when you see, they get these recruits who come in and they talk about wanting to get pushed by him, and you don't hear that particularly nowadays with college basketball players or elite 5-star guys who are I want a guy to yell at me and make me tougher, and he loves those guys, man. When he hears that, it's just, you watch him raise the level of players, and it reminds me a little bit of Izzo. He is kind of like a Tom Izzo guy.
No doubt about it. So, Charles, a trade in the NFL this week. Jalen Waddle going from Miami to Denver.
Yeah.
So, first off, going to be fascinating to watch Malik Willis throw the ball in the air and then run underneath it and catch it this year. That's going to be fun to watch. But what do you think this Jalen Waddle move does for the Broncos?
Well, I was surprised that Waddle drew a first, a third, and a fourth. Even though the fourth is a pick swap, but I kind of scoffed at the Eagles looking for a first and a second out of AJ Brown, and then you look at this trade, I'm like, oh, maybe the Eagles know they know the market is there definitely to squeeze more out of a wide receiver than I would think, but it makes sense for Denver because look, when I've gone through Denver, for the last couple of years, talked to Sean Payton, spent time with him, and one of the things that I know Payton does not want to do is he does not want to get into this situation where he's going to be paying a wide receiver, $35 million or God forbid, $40 million, when they get to that point. So Waddle's not exactly making peanuts, but if you look at really where his cap number and cash number is over the next couple of seasons, it's $4.9 million in 2026, $17 million in cash. 2027, it's $27 million on the cap, $24 million in cash, and then 2028, $30 million and $27 million in cap. So when you really look at those 3 years together, effectively he's found what he feels like is a number one receiver for the low 20 million mark. When you talk about actual cash, and then when you talk about cap, it's even less than that. And so that acquisition just made a lot of sense to me, where he's looking at that saying, I feel like I'm getting a 1 or a number or a high 2, wide receiver 2, and not having to, break the bank ultimately to get there. And I think he'll fit in with the offense that Peyton runs. And, I think it was a good acquisition. I'm shocked with Miami, I just look at Miami and I'm like, okay, Malik Willis, you got the bag, which is good, but I don't see any way. He signs a 3-year deal that's a 2. I think it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out in Miami with Malik Willis. Like I think it's like, okay, we'll see how he plays in 2026, but if he doesn't kind of access the ceiling we're hoping he can, now we have a bridge quarterback deal in 2027, and we just draft a quarterback in the 2027 draft, and we have our bridge starter in front of him, so we can take it easy with the rookie quarterback for a little bit, and then eventually ascend that guy to the starting spot. I don't think it's a great position now for Malik Willis, and you don't get a ton of starting shots in the NFL, so for him to kind of walk in there and then have this happen, which I'm sure, I would assume he knew that they were going to continue to strip this down. And by the way, Devon Achane, you're going to call. They're not going to be in good shape. I'll call it now. They're not going to be in good shape at the trade deadline. Do you think teams are going to call? They're going to call and say, hey, give us the running back. Don't strip another year off the running back. We'll trade for him. I don't think they're done dealing from this roster, particularly when you get to the trade deadline next year.
Yeah, the Titans should look into that. So, are the Vikings, are they done with JJ McCarthy? Like, what's is this it, or do they still have some hope that he's going to stick around and figure it out?
I mean, you're not. I told people when I came out of the combine, I was like, they're looking for a starter. They're not looking for a guy to compete. Like that's what changed for me at the combine. They're definitely looking for a starter. When they signed Kyler, they signed their starter. And the Wentz addition to me is like, okay, they're saying, JD, you're going to have to compete to be the backup on this team. Like, yeah, sure, we're having competition at the backup spot. Now you're going to have to compete, to try to be the number 2 quarterback. No, I think he's available 100%. And I said this, and I got killed for it too. I wrote it going into the combine that I had the sense that, like, look, they're going to take calls on this guy, McCarthy, going into the combine. And people flipped out and were like, that's total BS. And yeah, sure. Okay, now look at it. I swear, of all the things that I walked out of the combine, like having been turned around on, just their feeling toward him was the most shocking thing that I walked out of the combine, with just knowing like how the sense of doubt had really been created inside the franchise in him, like as a player, as a leader. It was overwhelming. And I knew there was no way they were absolutely getting a starter. The Wentz thing surprised me a little bit because I thought, well, Kyler will go in there. It's not a great quarterback room now for JJ because Kyler's not going to be, he's not going to be looking at JJ going, hey, let me, help this guy along and develop. So, that was already going to be an uphill battle for JJ. But to add Wentz now on top of it, I think it's just a sign to everybody that, hey, if you're interested in JJ McCarthy at all, get your calls in before the 2026 draft.
Will there not be? Sorry, real quick. I mean, do you think there will be interest? Like, does the rest of the league look at him like they obviously do?
I think I have to believe that there would be, especially considering what this current quarterback class looks like in 2026, and the fact that you still have 2 years of control on his rookie deal. I would have to think that there's at least going to be some mild interest in him, depending on what exactly the Vikings are looking to get out of him. But I think it's a pretty big indictment when you have Kevin O'Connell, who a lot of people respect as a quarterback groomer, and what he's done with other quarterbacks in the past. When you have this develop and it looks like Kevin O'Connell is just absolutely trying to hit the eject button here, I think that's damaging, when the league looks at that. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not another team out there saying, well, we'll fix it. And we like the talent. Here's what we liked going into the draft. I just think it's almost similar to me, like when the 49ers finally dealt Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys, would the Cowboys give a 4th? And when they gave up that 4th, people across the league were like, man, they overpaid. Like I can't believe they gave a 4th for Trey Lance. I kind of feel like that's sort of where JJ McCarthy is right now. it's alarming. And I think if anyone's out there going to acquire him, they have to wonder, like, why did this happen? Like, you better dig in because it's there to be found. That's for sure.
So, Charles, the players have elected J.C. Tretter for the NFLPA Union Chief Strategy Officer, or former Union Chief Strategy Officer, if I could speak today. J.C. Tretter is their next executive director. What do you think this means for the negotiations that we know are coming, that are going to be trying to put an 18-game regular season on the table for the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a conversation that really would have happened last off season if the union hadn't become a total mess. Like if they just hadn't hit an iceberg and, Lloyd Howell, like that whole, the firing and just kind of the dismantling of really the innards of the NFLPA. I feel like there would have been more talk about this, getting the 18th game added and the second bye and all that stuff. But I think the NFL is kind of like, okay, well, if their ducks aren't in a row, we're not going to be able to get this done. So the union finally picking J.C. Tretter to be the head, even though I think it's very controversial because he was involved in, some of the not so great decisions of the past regime. It does finally give the NFL the traction to go, okay, let's get to the table on this. And I think people need to understand why this is important because, and it was actually Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, brought this up, and I thought it was really smart when he brought it up, around the Super Bowl this year. Florio was like, hey, look, why is there not a date for the Super Bowl in Atlanta following the 2027 season? So February 2028, why is there not a knockdown, locked in date for that Super Bowl? That's smart. He's absolutely right. Like that is the sign that the NFL is really going to try to get this 18th game added for the 2027 season and a second bye, which is going to push the Super Bowl back at least 2 weeks. And because they always want to have this done like years out. There's logistically, there's a lot to do around the Super Bowl to make sure you're getting where the team's going to stay, where's the media going to stay, where's the convention center going to be, and then all of the the week leading into the game now is such a huge deal. You have to know where you're setting up your fan experience for the Super Bowl. So for that not being sorted out right now in February 2028 tells you 2027 is where they're looking to add that 18th game. And I think now that Tretter's in with the union, you'll see this is going to become something that really ramps up in the next year.
So are they going to touch March at some point here with this stuff? I mean, 2 weeks back.
It's don't look at me, man. It's not. I was really. I'm not. When they added the 17th game, I was like, man, okay. And then all of a sudden, the reality of now the 17th game when it kicked in, and I was like, wait. So that means when I come home from the Super Bowl, I don't have the 2 weeks I used to have to get ready for the combine. I only have a week. Well, now I'm like, what are we even doing? Like, are we just going to go straight from the Super Bowl to the combine? Like, are we not? Is there not going to be any break at all? And
why is there no momentum to move it up on the other side?
What do you mean to move the start of the season?
Move the start of the season up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, they'll eliminate an exhibition game. Like, there's no doubt that's definitely going to happen. So then the question will be, Joe, that's a great point. It will be, do we want to slide it up a week? I think we've known now for a while that they really want President's Day to be the Monday after the Super Bowl, because then that's a federal holiday, and they're like, okay, this gives the Super Bowl like an even bigger chance to have a huge audience, because we're going to have part of the audience isn't going to have to go, to work the day after the Super Bowl. So they really think that will impact the viewership, that they feel like they lose some of the viewership because they have, depending on where the game's played, what time zone it's in or whatever, they feel like there's always, the Eastern time zone tunes it out, maybe a little earlier, or just isn't as all in during the broadcast. So, I think that's certainly on the table, the idea of, adjusting it up a week and then only extending it back a week, because adding that 18th game, people have to understand this. It's a 2-week process because you're definitely putting in a second bye. What's really going to be interesting is to get the players to vote for it. The NFL is really, they're brainstorming a lot of different ideas to make it enticing to players. And one of those ideas that they're brainstorming is potentially telling, the NFLPA, look, we're going to add the 18th game. Let's agree to do that. But we'll also add an artificial cap for your players where everybody only plays 17. So teams will have to sort it out, but we'll give you the ability to potentially rest, every player on your 53, one game a season. Nobody's going to end up playing, 18 games.
Interesting. So, speaking of interesting, the Browns have proposed this rule change that would allow NFL teams to trade draft picks 5 years into the future instead of 3, which you could currently do. Which, on the surface, is kind of hilarious that the Browns are the ones suggesting this, because they could totally just be a disaster scenario and all this. But what do you make of that idea? I kind of love it. More trades, the better for me in the NFL. But what do you think of the idea of being able to trade draft picks 5 years out?
Well, it's funny. I was texting with an executive when after all the kind of rule proposals came out, and he cracked a joke about, like, why are we allowing the Browns to make rule proposals? like this is, we should limit, like, there should be maybe 12 teams in the league who are allowed to make rule proposals, because there's no way 32 teams are running themselves well. Let's just pick the 12 that run themselves the best and allow them to make rule proposals. And we're kind of laughing, and we're going back and forth, and he goes, oh, and by the way, he's like, nothing's ever, happened to the teams that have traded 3 first-round picks for players. And I had forgotten, like, how many disastrous, 3 first-round pick trades, like the Herschel Walker trade with the Vikings and the Cowboys was horrible ultimately.
Oh boy.
For Minnesota, the Deshaun Watson deal, obviously with the Browns, was a really bad one. Robert Griffin, Trey Lance, the Niners and Washington giving up 3 picks each for those guys, 3 firsts each for those guys. So it's not a great track record of giving up 3 straight years of first round picks. So now you want to extend it to 5. Look, I'm with you. Like, the idea of it creating the opportunity for more trades is certainly exciting, and it creates the plateau for, like, mega deals. So the guy I would bring up is, it's Joe Burrow, right? Like, if Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati, now you have the ability to offer 5 first round picks for that guy. and the Bengals have to actually consider that. And so it's certainly interesting. I'm like, man, if there's bad franchises out there, you're just giving them an ability to mortgage themselves into an even longer nightmare than some of the ones we've already seen. But we're all adults here. It's like us playing fantasy football, and then somebody makes a trade in our league and people start complaining about it. I'm like, everybody's grown. Like, we're all adults. Like, if somebody makes a bad trade, that's on them. And I'm sure that's how some NFL teams will operate with this.
So, as a Houstonian, is that right? Houstonian?
Yeah, Houstonian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As a Houstonian, like, how pissed off are people, like, talking actively about the fact that the Titans are basically just going to have the Houston Oilers uniforms moving forward? Like, or like, I see, like, JJ Watt's tweets and then random stuff around the league, but, like, is that a thing that people are actively upset in Houston about this? I think,
when they put them out, people were absolutely complaining. Like, they were like,
yeah, we said we were going to send Charles a jersey last week. He declined.
Yeah.
Did I ask him the same question last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. Were you not?
I told you my brain cells are low today, okay?
Yeah, we talked about this. I mean,
tell us again, Charles.
JJ Watt was all, like, out of joint about it. I'm like, JJ Watt didn't even play here with that. Like, come on, man. Like, what are you complaining about, of all people? Like, I could see, like, Wade Phillips or, people from that era, grousing about it. But yeah, I mean, of course, they're there's always been there's always been that animosity between I think Titans fans and Texans fans just because of what's happened in the past, right? And then the animosity between that previously existed between the ownership groups and Bud Adams is still hated here, man. Like it's like really? Like you're still mad? Like this dude's not here. He's not on the planet. You're still mad at Bud Adams. So anything they do to, take a little bit of that history, I think drives people here crazy. I'm not connected to it, so I'm just like, whatever. I'm like, I think the color's cool. Like I like cool color schemes, so it doesn't bother me when somebody wants to, trot that out there.
All right, Charles, we got about a minute here. Are we going to be staring down the barrel of replacement referees in the NFL next year?
Oh.
I mean, look, that's obviously they're preparing for it. Like, there's no question about it. I'm just like, oh God, it can't get worse, your reputation when it comes to officiating in the NFL. And now this is now what we're ultimately going to, look at. You don't see the NFL prepare for something like that unless they realistically think, there's a good chance that it could happen. So yeah, I would say there's certainly the NFL is they're preparing themselves for it. And I think fans should prepare themselves for it. We're going to go back to, the touchdown. What game was it? Packers Seahawks, where it was
Seahawks,
like touchdown. Yeah,
that was a great one.
Yeah, that's one we'll never forget. Let's revisit that.
Yeah, let's bring that back.
Get ready
in there.
for it, guys.
Looking forward to it. Well, Charles, in the meantime, enjoy the basketball this weekend. Hope you have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week, my friend.
Absolutely. And real quick, who are the Titans taking in the first this year? You think they're going to take Love? They're going to take Love, right?
David Bailey.
David
Bailey's my pick.
I think they should take David Bailey. I think they're going to take Love.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Yes.
That's for next week.
We'll get heavily into it next week. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest with us every week here on the program. We'll have Teron Davenport coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
ESPN's Turon Davenport, Talking Titans, now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Turon Davenport to the program from ESPN. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. TD, catching the Preds win last night against Seattle. Good morning, TD. How we doing?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I caught up with you in the hallway, right?
That's right. That's right. He was there.
Yeah, it was
Big
a good
game last night.
man. Yeah, good game for sure.
No doubt about it. So, TD, you spoke to a lot of Titans this week. I mean, you even had Cam Ward, crashing in on your question on the Wan'Dale Robinson meeting. So, I guess what kind of stood out to you now that you've spoken with Wan'Dale Robinson? What kind of stands out to you about him, his role in this offense, and what Titans fans can expect from him in year one?
Yeah, well, I like what he said, where he told us he wants to be the guy to get open for Cam Ward so he could get rid of the ball quickly. And he said that's what they asked him to do. And I thought that was intriguing. Just, okay, they said they need somebody to be the man, and they want him to come in and be that. And then he also said he's going to play a little bit. He expects to play a little bit on the outside. So those are a couple of things that stood out. I mean, it's pretty clear that chemistry is already there. I saw them interacting at the jersey, the rebrand release and everything too. So those guys are off to a good start already.
Well, then you got PK asking Alontae Taylor if he stinks. You got that one too on the on the Zoom. I thought he handled that really well. But I guess same sort of thing. With Alontae Taylor, impressions there, and also, what is is Alontae Taylor a number one cornerback? Or is this are the Titans in a position where it's like they still need to potentially use a significant pick to try to find someone long term in that spot?
Yeah, I don't know that I put him in number one corner category to where you put him in cat coverage and all of that. I think the league only has a few. You look at Patrick Surtain, Derek Stingley, to name a couple, but look, he's a good corner. I think he's solid. He's going to blitz and time that up well. He plays against the run. He could cover solid. So I think their group is good. They don't have to, use the 35th pick on a corner. I think they could get away with getting a guy in the third or fourth round if they want to do that. But I mean, between Taylor and Cordell Flott and Joshua Williams, and you mix in Micah Robinson and Marcus Harris, I think you have a solid group that's very serviceable.
So, TD, I've kind of shifted in my head, the mindset at 35 for the Titans coming up in the draft of, what receivers are going to be available. And we've talked a lot about, obviously, the Tennessee connection with Brazel. But what about a guy like Chris Bell, who is out of Louisville? He tore his ACL. And the physical, prior to the injury, you looked at the physical measurements, the speed, all of it. And, if he didn't get hurt, I'd be stunned if he got out of the first round. Now that he did tear the ACL, I'm interested to see where he goes. But if he's there at 35 and the Titans are confident that he's going to be healthy, that to me could be a really interesting pick there at 35. What do you think?
Hey, yeah, no, that's a great point because you're getting a first-round talent, with just outside of a first-round pick. Now, when I talked to him at the Combine, Chris Bell told me that he was going to run a week later. So he started doing that, and then I don't know if you saw Jordan Schultz's post. I think it was Wednesday he posted it. It may have been yesterday. It was within the last couple of days. But it was him, doing kind of like a step drill, and he was moving fine. Now, that's not to say he's going to be ready by training camp. They projected for October. But look, man, you go back and watch that Louisville versus Miami game, you will see a guy who just dominated. And at 225, with the catching ability he has, the size, the speed. But we talked about, running through the catch, and he told me that A.J. Brown is his favorite receiver. That's one of the guys that he sees a lot of himself in, and he's not lying. He's 225, about 6'2", really good hands. He'll go up and make the contested catch. He's a dog, man. At 35, that would be a good pick, just so long as they understand that he's probably not going to be ready until into the season. And you're really not going to get a huge return probably till later in the season and going into the new stadium.
All right, so probably ask you some version of this, and we'll ask you again. But we did we're doing these mock drafts here and there, and I went Bailey. The things went kind of, I guess, as you'd expect. Nothing crazy in the first three. I went Bailey over Love. If you were in charge, TD, and it doesn't have to be either of those two, it could be Ruben Bain or whatever. If you're in charge and the first three picks go, the way we would expect them to go, like maybe the Cardinals take the tackle and obviously the Mendoza-Reese. Who are you taking?
Oh, yeah, that's a question that just seems to change by the hour, man. It's just so tough because you got to love guys that score touchdowns, right? But you also love guys that impact the quarterback. I mean, for now, I have to go Bailey. I think it just sets up perfectly for a situational pass rusher to come in, right? And you got Franklin Myers. He could play outside, on first and second down, bump inside on third, and guess who you bring in? David Bailey. Go get the quarterback. And I would let him play in a role where it's like, I don't want you to think about anything. All I want you to think about is your pass rush repertoire. And if you're going to hit him with a spin, bull, outside rush, what are you going to do? That's all I want you to think about. Go get the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating stance there when it comes to what could be possible for the Titans. So let's say for argument they do go up. TD, I just asked you about receivers like Chris Bell that could be there at 35. How strong do you think defensive end could be when it comes around to 35 if Love is the way they go? Because they're going to need a defensive end at some point, So how strong do you think that spot is in the early part of the second round?
Yeah, I mean, you could still get a skilled pass rusher probably. I look at the 40 first-round picks, man, and I got T.J. Parker from Clemson in there, and then Cassius Howell, who happens to be my favorite pass rusher in the group. I'm not saying he's the best. David Bailey's the best. Cassius Howell is my favorite. And you look at him out of A&M. He had a good game against LSU. Utah State, I mean, it's Utah State, but still he had 3 sacks. It was consecutive plays back to back to back. And he said, I'm shutting this series down. It's over. But he would probably be the guy at 35. And there's a few others. I think you would have a good pick of options.
So Officer Watson asking about, the Titans obviously still have a lot of cap space. I mean, I'm surprised. Like, Juwan Jennings still out there. Do you think there'd be any inkling to try to get into that, or do you think they're basically done other than draft at receiver?
Yeah, I think they're for the most part done other than the draft. The intrigue with Juwan Jennings is something that it needs to be studied. I think he's talented, but I feel like he's getting the treatment like he's a top end free agent and a top receiver. And there's a lot to be desired still to me. And then in addition to that, I don't see him doing something different from what you could get from Alec Iamanair or you could get from in the draft. So to me, no disrespect to him, but I would rather let another team sign him and they could use him. Me personally, I would go with what I have now and the draft.
TD, would you like to take this time to offer any condolences to Rexrode with Nick Westbrook-Akine returning to the AFC South, but not to the Titans and going with the Colts?
Yeah. Boys to Men, they made a song. Actually, they're going to be in the city tonight, man. I'll be in the building in Bridgestone.
Really?
No edition. But they made a song, and it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. I had to play that for me.
Shed a tear. But wait a minute. Wait, Boys to Men, a new edition? Where are they playing tonight?
Bridgestone.
Is that Bridgestone? Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm being there, dancing with Bobby Brown and my prerogative.
Well, yeah, who's going to be there for New Edition? They have like Ralph and all those guys.
Yeah, the whole crew, man, is going to be there. They were just in Philly. I saw on their IG they were in Philly and they pulled up on one of the guys selling T-shirts or bought the T-shirts. Man, it was pretty dope. But I say all that to say that the whole crew was in there. I heard all their voices. So yeah, man, Ralph
Bell,
said,
Biv, and DeVoe.
sensitivity.
Man.
BBD. I thought it was me.
You're gonna make Rexrode fly home from
man.
Oklahoma City today.
I know.
Yeah, man.
Oh
No
man,
doubt.
great stuff.
Put some
Well,
videos
TD,
up.
have a great time tonight. Sounds like it's going to be awesome. We appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Oh yeah, for sure. And hey, listen, man. Tomorrow night, Vandy women's basketball. Let's go, Jess Passat. Let's go, Michaela Blakes, Aubrey Colvin. I'm not going to try to say number 15's name, but let's go, Vandy. I'm going to be in the building rooting for them for the first 2 rounds. I can't wait.
Nice.
Absolutely. It's going to be awesome. Had Shay Ralph on earlier in the show. It's going to be really good stuff. TD, have a good weekend, buddy.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. Teron Davenport, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode every Friday morning at 8 o'clock, fueled by Parman Energy. Visit parmanenergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. We'll react to what TD had to say. Get back into your thoughts on the Predators, the NCAA tournament. We got weekend winners coming up at 8:30. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. For homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in, visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. Our football coverage in the offseason brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. So, Joe, lots going on the show today. It's been a very busy show. We've had Shea Ralph. We've had Charles Robinson. We've had TD. There's the NCAA tournament going on. There was a big hockey game last night. So one of those days where we could probably do about an 8-hour show. So we tried to condense it all. Let's just rapid fire go through some thoughts here. So Preds get a huge win last night against Seattle. They draw even with the Kraken in points. So LA picked up a point last night in the standings, which means LA is the final wild card team right now at 72 points. Preds are at 71. They drew even with Seattle there. As I mentioned earlier in the show, they got LA twice coming up to close out the season. They got San Jose 3 times. So those teams that are right there with them, they've already taken down Seattle twice in the last 10 days, and they're going to have 3 more games with Seattle and 2 more games with LA coming up. So 5 of your 14 games or whatever it is that's left are going to be against teams that are directly right there with you in the competition, and that's a big win for the Nashville Predators last night.
Yeah, big win, big opportunity. You're in position. A little weird, the schedule you just laid out there. But, yeah, Nashville Predators, San Jose Sharks playing a meaningful hockey game. It's been a minute.
Yep, we're going to see it on Tuesday, and then we're going to see it 2 more times after that throughout the end of the regular season there. Vanderbilt gets the win in the NCAA tournament yesterday, Joe. You were there in person, 78-68 against McNeese. What stood out to you about Vanderbilt in their first NCAA tournament win since 2012 that they got yesterday?
Tyler Tanner, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and I didn't think he played his best game. He, in the second half, kind of just started doing whatever he wanted to do, and they got a little separation. But, good win because it didn't start well. McNeese was fired up, and they were running all over the place and hitting threes, and the building was getting that feeling of, oh, we got a chance here to Nebraska fans, too, were just like, yeah, we'll take McNeese over Vanderbilt in round 2. But I think Mark Byington was right. It's like they didn't play their best game. There was something – and maybe they were a little bit tired from the SEC tournament. That's the part, the danger sometimes of making runs in your conference tournaments. We've seen some teams already that have done that are out of this tournament now. Wisconsin, for example. But I thought that they hung in there and they persevered. And Chandler Bing is a really important defensive piece for them for sure. And Devin McLaughlin was huge inside, and they're going to have a huge game here coming up tomorrow here in Oklahoma City. I mean, I think it's a toss-up game.
And we're going to get into picking that game here in just a few minutes in weekend winners coming up. But you got Tennessee in action today as well, taking on Miami of Ohio. So a team that's lost 1 game all year in Miami of Ohio. Now a team that's about to see a dramatic uptick in competition when they take on Tennessee today. Tennessee's an 11.5-point favorite in this. The matchup today for the Vols against Miami of Ohio. What do you think of it? And if Tennessee's going to win, what do you think the formula of that game looks like today?
Well, they might have to win a little bit more of a high-scoring game with pace than maybe they prefer, but they can. I mean, Miami's going to hit shots. That. If they go crazy, I mean that's how you're going to be in a fight. I mean, they're going to get shots. They have shooters all over the floor. They spread the floor, but they shouldn't be able to stop Tennessee. And Tennessee needs to execute, make the extra pass. Yeah, you need. I mean, Gillespie and Ament need to make shots. Like if they don't make shots, if one of the 2 of them has a really bad shooting day, then I mean Tennessee can be in trouble in this tournament, and including today. But even to me, if they might have to go small more than they normally do. We'll see, but I'm just guessing they will defensively be better off going small a little bit more often. Yeah, JP Estrella can go and absolutely have a day on the interior against Miami. So if you have to outscore them. I mean, I expect Tennessee to win. I do think it'll be a good game. And if anybody watched them against SMU, like they're 31-1. They didn't play a great schedule, but they belong in the tournament, and they're good. And they're one of the best shooting teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best shooting teams in the country. I still look, if you're Tennessee, you ought to be able to take advantage of this team offensively. Like, if they struggle today offensively, to me, that's a huge problem. Like, this needs to be a game that you walk away from if you're a Vols fan and you feel really good about the offensive performance that your team put together. If not, they may lose, but if not, even if they win, that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's like, again, it's those two guys hitting outside shots. I'd like to see Ament as much as possible put it on the deck and get to the line and force the issue. I mean, he loves that pull up and he can get it whatever he wants. And of course, if he's hitting that, again, you're watching him, you're like, okay, it looks like an NBA wing, But yeah, a little bit more going at people and forcing them, to foul you, I think would be good. And Gillespie is, I mean, he's been really good this year overall. He does have those every once in a while, just really bad shooting nights. And if that happens in this tournament, that's probably going to be tough for them to overcome. So, but even with him too, it's like you can get in the lane, try to get to the rim a little bit more, get to your mid range some, if the threes aren't falling.
Brian on the text line says that, just so you guys know, I'm taking TSU over Iowa State after the conversation on Wednesday, riding or dying. I'm very interested to see if TSU can hang in there today against Iowa State. I forget the line. I can go find it real quick. It is Iowa State favored by 24.5.
I like TSU with that line. I'll tell you that much. It's hard because Iowa State at times has been incredible this year. Their ceiling is very high, but they're also pretty erratic, and they're not great inside. Jefferson is an incredible four-man, but he's a stretch four. But Joshua Jefferson, I'm telling you, man, the way TSU plays, I think that game could be one of the sneaky, interesting games of the day. And I'm not just saying that being a Nashville homer. I mean, I think TSU, it's incredible what they've done, but also I think they are dangerous. It's going to be I might be as excited for that game as any, just because I think there's potential there for one of those look at this, everybody, upset alert moments.
Who has the bigger blow up at one point today? Is it Mick Cronin with UCLA or Hurley in UConn?
Good question. And boy, right now they're lined up to play each other. Just
I know. I'm pulling for that. The building may collapse.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I actually picked in my bracket UCLA to beat UConn in the second round. They are, but they're also banged up. So, it's. I think both of them. I know this is another 215 thing, but Furman, it's kind of interesting. And UConn is not playing well. Now I'll say that, and they'll win by 35. But
yeah,
I think that could get interesting there in Philly.
We'll have weekend winners coming up next. Busy weekend coming up on the basketball front, on the hockey front. We'll get into all of it next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you. Now
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for weekend winners here on the program. A standings update in the competition. Rexrode with the best week last week, 4-2 with his lock. I went 3-3, did not get my lock. Ian Safar, 2-4, but he did get his lock. He's 4-0 on his locks, which means Ian's in first, 12-12 overall, 4-0 in his lock, 16 points. Rexrode, best record, 13-11 overall, 2-2 on his locks, 15 points. I'm also 12-12, 2-2 on my locks, 14 points. So Ian with 16, Joe with 15, I am with 14 is where the standings currently sit. We begin with the Tennessee Volunteers taking on Miami of Ohio today in the NCAA tournament. Vols an 11.5-point favorite in the matchup. Ian Safar, you are in first place, so you go first. Who we got between Tennessee and Miami?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's going to win, but they're always nervous, always make me nervous in tournament time and the scoring. We've guys touched on it today and scoring droughts and stuff. I think I'm going to take Miami to cover the 11.5 today.
Going with Miami plus the 11.5. Joe Rexrode, who we got between the Vols and Miami?
Yep, I'm the same. I think the Vols are going to win by 6 to 8 points, but I think Miami will make it a game. I think it will be a good game, competitive throughout. Tennessee gets a little bit of separation, hit some free throws late.
Vols 77, Miami of Ohio 56. Dramatic win for the Vols. They win by 20. Give me the Vols minus the 11.5 in today's big showdown. Vanderbilt and Nebraska coming up. A lot of Nebraska fans that Joe is surrounded by in the great city of Oklahoma City. Vanderbilt is a 2.5-point favorite in the round of 32 coming up tomorrow. Joe Rexrode, you're up first in this one.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's a really tough pick. And I got to say, yeah, Vanderbilt has played some good games on the road. They've actually been good road neutral this year. But this is it's amazing what these Nebraska fans have done to take over this place. And I think that matters. I mean, I think the home fan advantage in college basketball is the greatest of all the sports. And so I think it's a very evenly matched game. I think Nebraska is going to win a very close game. Hate to be a WHTR here, but give me Nebraska minus the 2.5.
Give me Vanderbilt minus the 2.5. Vanderbilt's going to walk out of that building victorious. All the Cornhuskers will be making their way back to Nebraska after tomorrow's game with a sad look on their face. Vanderbilt wins. They cover the 2.5. They win by 4 in this matchup. Ian Safar, who we got?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Vandy is favored. So I am going to take Vandy.
There we go. I like it. A little bit of reverse psychology there.
That's right.
I love it. So Vandy, favored by 2.5. Ian and I going with Vanderbilt. Joe's a hater, and he is going with Nebraska. The Nashville Predators taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Some afternoon hockey coming up tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena, which I'm a huge fan of. We're going to go straight up here. Joe, I'll be honest with you. I like the situation for the Predators, and I don't really think Vegas is all that good. Like, I've watched Vegas a lot this year. Their goaltending sucks, and they've lost a lot of games in overtime where they picked up a lot of points. It's not like they're a bad team.
14 overtime losses.
Yeah, like, I don't think they're great. Having said that, they did just get shut out, and I always don't like that when the team that you're playing gets shut out the game before. You got Colton Sissons coming back, who, by the way, better get a good tribute video. I mean, he had a hat trick sending you to the Stanley Cup final, for God's sake.
Oh,
so let's
gosh.
separate Colton Sissons' tribute video from Cole Smith and Jeremy Lozon tomorrow, please. That's really the one thing I asked for. Give me the Golden Knights to win straight up tomorrow against the Predators. Ian, who we got?
Yeah, I think you laid it out there nicely. I want to take the Preds, but it's back and forth. The Pacific Division is kind of cheeks.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I mean, Anaheim is first with 78 points, and then you look at the Central, and Colorado has 98 points. So I don't know, but I think you laid it out nicely. I think I'm going to take Vegas.
Going with Vegas. Joe Rexrode, who we got between the Predators and the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah, I hate all our local teams. Give me Vegas.
Wow.
I'll just pick against all of them.
A clean sweep for the Golden Knights. Congratulations to the Preds on their big win
Exactly.
tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. We move to the individual portion of the program. Ian Safar, your first individual selection.
Okay, I'll get my lock out of the way. It's a hockey one tonight. Hurricanes -1.5 versus Toronto.
Boy, it's a rough time for the Leafs. Hurricanes -1.5 against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Ian lock it down on that. Rexrode, your first individual selection.
Well, I'm going to get my lock out of the way too. And we've been talking about it. You know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. TSU, Iowa State -24.5. Give me the Tennessee State Tigers. Make it my lock.
Guarantee.
Travis Harper's a problem. Aaron and Kruma's a problem. Watch out for the TSU Tigers today. The nation is going to be watching that game at some point, being like, oh my goodness, look what's going on in this game.
TSU plus the 24.5 against Iowa State. Give me my fellow Baptist, California Baptist, plus 14.5 against Kansas. They ain't going to win, but they're going to cover the 14.5. They're going to lose by about 8. So I'll take California Baptist plus the 14.5 in that matchup. Joe Rexrode, your second individual selection.
Yeah, another big underdog with a big spread. Wright State against Virginia. Virginia's -17.5. I think Virginia wins, but I think Wright State will push them more than people realize. So give me Wright State in those points.
Wright State plus the 17.5 against Virginia. I get the sense that Rexrode is a big Virginia hater, so we will continue to monitor that as the tournament goes on here. Give me Michigan State -3.5 against Louisville and make it my lock. I'm locking down on Sparty tomorrow. Louisville got the nice win. That's great. Michigan State looked really good yesterday. Izzo he's going to be coming out with a vengeance tomorrow. I heard it from him in the pre-show meeting. Michigan State minus the 3.5, locking down against Louisville. Ian Safar, your second individual selection.
Okay, just a disclosure here. I'm staying away from Nashville SC this week.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel. They're off to a great start, coming off the big win, playing Orlando this weekend. I don't have a good feel of what's going on. So just a disclaimer out there. No Nashville SC pick this week. We got plenty of hoops. So I'm going to go with Arkansas -11.5 versus High Point. High Point coming off the win. Arkansas is hot. It's a big spread, but I'm going to take it.
I like it. I thought about that for sure. To kick off the final round of picks here, give me Vanderbilt, Nebraska. I'll take the over of 146.5. Give me the over of 146.5 between Vanderbilt and Nebraska coming up tomorrow. Ian Safar, your final individual selection.
All right. And I'm going back to maybe, I don't know if this is, quote, my team in the tournament because, but this is like the non-home state team that I'm rooting for. St. Louis plus 12.5 versus Michigan. Michigan is very good. This one makes me nervous. This is more of just a fun pick. So give me St. Louis plus 12.5 versus Michigan.
St. Louis plus the 12.5 against Michigan. Joe Rexrode, your final individual selection.
And by the way, Robby, Michigan State burned you last week. I do think I remember. I like the pick, but
it's the anti-LaFleur. Izzo saving it for when it actually matters.
All right, so I'm gonna go right here in OKC. The other game, Texas A&M, Houston -9.5. I think the Aggies will press and have some success and push them for a little bit, but ultimately, I think Houston's going to win that game by about 15 points. Give me Houston minus the 9.5.
Going Houston minus 9.5 against Texas A&M. As Joe mentioned, it's been a nice start, other than Georgia, to the for the SEC in the NCAA tournament. So we'll see if A&M could push Houston in that matchup. This is Weekend Winners. Check it out every Friday morning at 8:30 here on the program. Lots going on this weekend. We'll react to our picks, and we'll get you ready for a busy weekend in sports coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. It's a fun day of the NCAA tournament in day one, day two coming up today. Joe, I'm interested to see, obviously Tennessee, what can they do against Miami of Ohio? If it goes the way that we think it will, and Tennessee wins, and Virginia wins, it's going to be a heck of a matchup over the weekend. The 6-seeded Vols, 3-seeded Virginia. People got very differing opinions on Virginia. Like we had Lehman on earlier this week. He loves Virginia, thinks that they're really, really good. I mean, they're a 3-seed, so obviously there's a baseline of talent that they've got there. You don't seem to be as high on Virginia. That's the vibe I've gotten this week. What do you make of a potential Tennessee and Virginia matchup this weekend if it goes chalk today in, I guess, round one of that side of the bracket?
Yeah, look, Virginia's really good. Don't get me wrong. This is a team that lost to Butler and Virginia Tech this year. I mean, the ACC it's way better this year. They got a bunch more teams in. I think twice as many teams as they got in last year. But it's still not great. I mean, I watched with great interest just a couple weeks ago. It was like actually a showdown for first place in the ACC, and Duke beat them by 26. They beat Duke last weekend. Or I'm sorry, they pushed Duke last weekend in the championship game, lost. But again, you saw it yesterday with Duke. This version of Duke is not great. I mean, they're still a good team. They still have the best freshman or one of the best freshmen in Cam Boozer, but they're a diminished team. So I do think there's a little bit of fool's gold with Virginia. They're very good. It's not like the old Tony Bennett Virginia, which was sometimes it is so slow. The pack line defense, you open yourself up to upset sometimes, right? Because it's just this slow grinding pace. And if another team just hits a flurry of shots on you, you can be in trouble. This team plays at a higher pace. They can score the basketball. If Tennessee, the best version of this Tennessee team, shows up this weekend, they absolutely can beat Virginia and get to the Sweet 16.
I'm seeing the video version on TikTok right now of the audio you shared earlier from the High Point radio show. It's one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen.
It's freaking great.
The High Point student radio broadcast. They're just going nuts as this game goes final yesterday and High Point takes down Wisconsin.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. And again, that radio call, kind of losing your mind. Again, you're not clapping. You're not doing like cheers with the crowd, like defense. This is the stuff I saw yesterday that just, yeah. And maybe Nate was right on the text line. He's like, I could have used my wisdom, but the thing is, I would have probably just yelled at them. I would have been just the old man yelling at the 19-year-old, and I was just like, I'm just gonna pretend that's not happening next to me. Then they're like yelling too, by the way. They're like, what are you doing? You got to take that to the hole. I mean, like, seriously, it's like they're screaming at the players on the floor. I'm like, dude, you guys are on press row. What are we doing?
What if there's some young, Nebraska journalists out there on Saturday? We're gonna allow this to happen again, or we stepping in there this time?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around. I've been a student journalist a long time ago, and I've been around about 1 million of them over the years, and I've never seen what I saw yesterday. I don't think I will again. Like, I don't know. It's just a McNeese thing, I guess. But again, the standing O at the end of the presser might have taken the cake. Like, stand up and
way to go,
applaud.
coach. Good job, coach. Nice job. You guys only lost by 10.
Man. I mean, I don't want to get too mad because I think that, I think this stuff, the High Point thing's awesome. Phil Martelli Jr. shouting out the student paper, that's awesome. I prefer to focus on things like that. It was just like, what is happening right now? What is happening?
I need some. I mean, everybody in the state of freaking Nebraska is down there anyway. Surely there's some student journalists that could be sitting next to you in this game tomorrow
with a big like corn cob on their head, maybe.
Exactly,
the big corn cob.
Is that? Have you seen a lot of those? Is there a lot of corn cobs running around there?
Not many. I saw a couple, but yeah, it wasn't in heavy usage, which is kind of disappointing because I actually really like that hat.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
it's going to be crushing for them
when
Vanderbilt destroys them tomorrow. It's going to be crushing.
Yeah, well, they might. I mean, I think Vanderbilt's best level and Nebraska's best level. I think Vanderbilt's ceiling is higher. I think Vanderbilt's a little bit better team. It's just, Nebraska is very good at mucking things up and making teams uncomfortable, taking them out of stuff they like to do. So, I think Vanderbilt's going to need like an Okereke, Washington on some pops, some other guys other than the obvious ones to hit some outside shots. I think to loosen things up a little bit because they're going to be all over, Tanner and Miles for sure, and I'm sure they're going to be with Tyler Nickel on the catch like every team is.
You want to know how stupid my brain is in this tournament? I was so convinced that they were losing to McNeese yesterday, and now I'm so convinced that they're beating Nebraska tomorrow. So may not be good news for Vanderbilt fans. Sorry.
But that happens, right? It has a lot. Teams survive, and they look so bad, and then they come out and play at a way higher level. Like, Duke, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out now and just destroy TCU,
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't
either.
either.
Tournament.
Going to be a fun weekend, Joe. Have fun in Oklahoma City. We will see you
Yes,
coming up next week. Hope everybody has a great time this weekend. A lot of sports to watch. Big hockey game tomorrow between the Preds and the Vegas Golden Knights. That does it for us today. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.